All right, we're on page 12, and we're learning about equations with variables on both sides. Okay, here's what we're going to do first. We're going to make sure that each side is simplified. So if there's any sort of math we can do on one side of the equation or the other side, we're going to do it before we start moving stuff. So this is like, I'm going to simplify the left side, simplify the right side. Okay. Then the key is I'm trying to get the variable by itself. So what I need to do is if I have variables on both sides, I need to move all the variables to one side of the equation. It doesn't matter which side. Okay, and in fact, I'm going to show you that it really doesn't matter. You can do it either way, but they have to all be on one side. Okay, and then we're going to do what we normally do, which is we're going to solve by isolate the variable. This means to get the variable by itself. Okay, so I'll show you an example. Okay, now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to actually show you this example two ways because I want you to see. Look, I'm going to write the same equation twice. I'm going to solve it one way and then the other way. And the difference when I solve it is that I'm going to move the variables to one side and then the other side. And what you're going to see is that it doesn't matter which side I move it to. Okay, so I'm going to draw a line right here. I'm going to observe, oh, there's variables on both sides. Okay, so first simplify each side. So I look here, there's nothing I can distribute. These are not like terms. I can't combine them. Same here. So these sides are actually simplified. So there's nothing for me to do on simplify each side. So I'm going to get all the variables to one side. Now, here's what I'm going to do. In order to get rid of the variables here, I'm going to subtract this whole term. So I can do minus 2x. I can also choose to get rid of the variables from here by doing minus 8x. Either one is totally fine. Okay, I'm going to do it both ways, and I'm going to just kind of point out like why you would choose one way versus the other. So here, I'm going to subtract 2x. I'm going to subtract 2x. Okay, now notice what happens. This is 2x minus 2x. This is 0. Okay, I'm bringing down 7. Okay, now 8x minus 2x, those are like terms. I can combine them, 6x. And now I'm bringing down negative 5. And now notice I just have a two-step equation. I'm going to get the variable by itself. The variable is over here on the right side, so I need to get rid of minus 5 and multiply by 6. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides and divide by 6. Okay, and I get 2 equals x, and I'm done. Okay, now what I want to show you is, remember up here up top, I said, oh, I could do it the other way too. Instead of subtracting 2x from both sides, I could subtract 8x from both sides. Okay, and I'm going to do it this way, and you're going to see we get the same answer. Either way is fine. But then we're going to just discuss why you might do it one way versus the other. 2 minus 8x is 6x. I'm going to bring down plus 7, and here's negative 5. Okay, so now notice I have all my variables to one side. The x is over here, so I need to get x by itself. So I need to get rid of the plus 7 and the times negative 6. So I'm going to subtract 7. Okay, I'm going to bring down negative 6x. Negative 5 negatives, and 7 more negatives is a total of 12 negatives. X is being multiplied by negative 6, so I divide by negative 6. Okay, and I get x equals 2. Okay, so I want you to notice I got the same answer. The process was fairly similar. So when you're choosing which way to go ahead and like get rid of the variables, right? I could get rid of it on the left side, I can get rid of it on the right side. I would just look for a couple things. Some people really like to have the variable on the left, right? Like here I ended up with the x on the left side. So you could just make a choice, like I'm just always going to cancel the right side and always end up with the variables on the left. You could choose that. Another choice you could make is you could say, you know what, I like the variables, I like this number, the coefficient, the number that's being multiplied by the variable, to be positive. So I'm always going to take the smaller value and subtract that value, because that way I'm going to end up with a positive, right? You can see over here I ended up with like a little bit more positive numbers. Here I kind of had to work with some negatives. My variable's on the left. So those are the kind of things to look for and observe. But again, it doesn't matter as long as you just choose a side and follow the solving procedure, you're all good. Okay, let's do one more example and then you're going to have a chance to practice. So here's another example. And this one's way longer. Okay, but what you're going to see is that, yes, it's long, but none of it is new. It's all we just got to keep track, be organized, and do math straight down. Look, I'm going to put a line on the equal sign. Okay, now there is simplifying to do on both sides. Remember, my first step is to simplify each side, and this time there actually is some work to do. Okay, let's look over here. Are there like terms, distributive property, or anything? Oh yeah, these are actually like terms. This is 8x and 5x. Those can be combined. That's 13x. Okay, now over here, look, there's some distributing to do. So negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative times negative is positive. This is 4 times 2, and there's an x. Okay, and now I'm distributing here. So this is plus 6x, and 6 times 2 is 12. And I actually noticed there's actually still like terms over here. So I'm actually just going to bring down the 13x because there's no more simplifying to do over here, but I'm going to combine my like terms. Okay, so those are like terms. The x's are like terms. Okay, and I'm just going to combine them like this. The x's first, so 8 plus 6 is 14. And 12 minus 4 is positive 8. I have more positives than negatives. Okay, so now notice I have x's on both sides. Now look, I could choose to do minus 13x and do minus 13x over here. And then I would have a 0 over here, right? I would have to write 0, and then I would have x plus 8 over here, and I'd have to subtract 8 from both sides. I could totally do that, that's fine. But since I noticed that actually there's x's here, and there's nothing else, I'm actually going to do this. Okay, now what I said about subtracting 13x from both sides is totally fine, okay, but you just have to keep track of the equal sign if you do that. Okay, look, this becomes this, and then I say, oh, right, this is 13 minus 14 is negative 1 because there's more negatives than positives, and I need to divide by negative 1. Okay, 8 divided by negative 1 is negative 8, and this is my answer. Okay. Real quick, if right here, if I were to say, oh, I'm going to subtract 13 from both sides so that the x can be positive, I just want you to see what that would have looked like. Like, let's say I had done this from both sides. Okay, 13 minus 13 would have been 0 equals x plus 8. Okay, notice the equal sign doesn't move. Okay, so like the most common mistake is to move the equal sign to here, but it's not. Then I actually have to subtract 8 from both sides, and I would still get that x equals negative 8. Okay, so just kind of a side note on that. All right, but notice again, this is simplifying that I know how to do, so this is not new, it's just long. So if you get a long problem, don't freak out, just try your best, go through step by step. The key is to always do math straight down, and then that way you're never overwhelmed, you're always just doing one piece at a time.